Welcome to our webinar. Today we'll be talking about AI Insight's new one-click program review process. This is designed to make it easier and faster for you to find and compare alternative investment programs. And the AI Insight Executive Summary now includes more information and it's easier to read. Today we'll show you how it all works. If you missed our Reg BI webinar last month, it's available on AIinsight.com. If you want to earn CE credits for watching, log on to AIinsight.com and find it under CE Courses menu. Our latest episode of Alt Insights podcast covers recent alternative investment trends along with capital raise trends year-to-date compared to last year. Find it on our website or subscribe on Podbean or Spotify. Now I'll introduce Mike Hell, Senior Vice President of Business Development and Program Management at AI Insight. Mike?
Hey, thanks a lot, Jen, and certainly appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to join us for another exciting webinar here at AI Insight and where we're at in the world and everything going on. We're certainly grateful that you can find a little bit of time out of your day to spend with us and really learn about something that we're pretty excited about. Really, for me to kick off, I'm going to start by showing you the dashboard at risk of everybody reading the dashboard and not paying attention to me for a few minutes. But ultimately, I think that we're really excited about this. And I want to start by kind of touching on the what, why, and when. As Jen mentioned in the overview or the intro, as you've seen in the email, really we're here to talk about one document and a new functionality. The functionality, I call it Streamlined review process for nothing more than, for lack of a better term. Maybe we end up rebranding that. But ultimately, it really comes down to a much easier way for users, whether it's a broker-dealer, an RIA, and financial advisor, whoever it might be that's come into the platform, ultimately to more efficiently get access to the information you're looking for with very minimal clicks. And then the second part of that is the executive summary. The executive summary is really nothing new here at AI Insight. It's something that we've had for a long time. It's ultimately, half of it is information specific to an individual investment program. The other half of it is information specific to the sponsor or manager entity. And that's something that we've had, but we've recently revised it. We continue to update documents in the platform, reports, et cetera, with good, valuable information. And it was really time for us to revisit the executive summary and really use that as an introductory kind of fact sheet. And we're able to clean it up and make it much more comprehensive as well. So I look forward to showing that in just a minute. Why? So it's important to understand that we as a platform and as a business have grown over the years. Very thankful to the subscribers for giving us feedback. That really has been the push and the driving force behind all of the evolution, all of the functionality that we have. Really, all the builds that we do is really based on the feedback from the subscriber base. So not only do we appreciate that continuous feedback and support from each of you, but certainly, I hope this is just another example to show how much we appreciate that feedback, because we do take it seriously. Sometimes we wish we could move much quicker on certain things, but we all have business limitations. I think that we do adapt as quickly as possible, but some things take time. And this is just another example of that, really that feedback, that simple, give me an easier way to access what I'm looking for. Show me how I can leverage more aspects of the system in a very short period of time. We completely understand that everyone's time is limited, and the last thing that you need is to go through multiple clicks or different ways to find different functionality. We really wanted to make it as simple as possible. And same thing with the executive summary. I mean, the executive summary, like I said, it's been there forever. But we've just gotten feedback that, hey, we really wish that there was just this streamlined 2-page document that we could quickly reference, and we kind of scratch our head and say, well, that exists today. We needed to update it, and we were grateful for that feedback, and that's exactly what we've done, and I'll show you that in just a second. When is this live? If you log in today or single sign on into our platform today, obviously you'll notice that your dashboard does not look the same as the one that you see on the screen right now. We do expect this to roll out in the next 2 weeks. It could be sooner than that. There's slight potential it could get pushed back, hopefully not significantly. This is a weekend launch. This weekend is really a tight deadline, so I certainly don't want to promise that, but next weekend might be more realistic. Either way, it's in the very near term. I want to make the point that we're here today to walk you through this. This is not something that's going to take a significant amount of training. It's really getting in there and clicking around a little bit. It's purposely built to be self-explanatory. However, this recording will be available for future use. We have a phenomenal customer care team that would love to speak to you, to the broker-dealers, to the advisors, to the REAs, to the sponsors, to everybody, and walk you through this to give you all the background that you need, hold individual training sessions, whatever it is that you need. Please, I can't stress enough, leverage our customer care team. They're phenomenal, and they love the opportunity to help.
Mike,
and at the end of the call, I'll put that up. Yes.
Mike, we're still seeing the marketing screen, the webinar screen.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Well, good thing I decided I haven't clicked around at all. Let me try this. And do you see it now, Jen?
We can see it now. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, great. So dashboard, I promise I haven't done any clicking. I haven't touched anything yet. This is the screen that I've been talking on. And the last point that I'll make is the dev site. So what I'm showing you right now, as I just mentioned, is the fact that if you log in today, you do not see what you're seeing here. That means that I'm showing you a dev site. So a couple of quick points on that is the fact that in a dev site, as you can imagine, it's going to run a little bit slower. There's going to be maybe some program names that are off the wall. Some things that you see that are not accurate, and that's simply because it's a dev site. It's test data. It's not live information, so please disregard that. We're really here to focus on that functionality aspect. So with no further ado, I want to jump in, and now I'll kind of start scrolling through and clicking around, and kind of talking through it. So we'll start here. I'm logged in right now. You can see as Cheryl Plum is a financial advisor in our testing broker-dealer. So this is a financial advisor view. But as you can imagine, many of you on the screen, that whether you're an individual subscriber, a broker-dealer admin user, REA, whoever it might be, the dashboard is extremely similar to what you see on my screen. Sponsors a little bit different. So the immediate notice that you see here is this revised section on the left, and I'm going to scroll a little bit. I'm kind of zoomed in a little bit on my screen to make it large here, but ultimately, this really is the new section on the dashboard. And I'll go through this in just a second, but very quickly, I'll touch on the fact that for the most part, all of your existing icon or sections within the dashboard are still there. Obviously, some down here, if you scroll further, others are moved over to the right. And same thing, broker-dealers, the admin users certainly have different dashboard items than the advisors do. But suffice it to say, all of that material information that you're familiar with is still on the dashboard. It's just been moved around a little bit. But what we're going to focus on here is this new section. You see it's titled Alternative Investments. And it's really, a lot of it's fairly self-explanatory, but I'm going to take a little while and walk through different aspects of it. The most obvious of which is a very long list of different alternative investments. I think a couple of points here. So broker-dealer admin users that have access to everything today, you'll continue. So just like the alternative investment program page that you're familiar with, the same number of programs are going to be there. The same restrictions are in place. So if there's, for example, the advisors can only see those that you have a selling agreement with, all of those same restrictions and customizations absolutely are still in play. Nothing has gone away or is any different there. So whatever list that you're familiar with and whatever controls you had in place previously absolutely will still be the case. The other point that I'll clarify here is the fact that, again, we're looking at an advisor dashboard. If you were looking at a broker-dealer dashboard, you would also have another filter here that said SA for selling agreement. And that gives you a quick option to check that. And this list will only contain those programs that you have a current signed selling agreement with. The other point to that is this list is only ever going to contain those programs that are currently active, open, raising capital in our platform. So if they are closed, they will not be on this list. You'll still have access to archived information as you always have in different areas of the platform. But for the purposes of this new section of the dashboard, it's all active, open programs raising capital. Before I get to this nifty Google-like search bar, I just want to touch on maybe a couple of what are obvious. These quick drop downs, if you want to filter this, the default is always going to be all programs. But if you want to just look at DSTs, you can click DSTs, click search, and this is quickly filters just the DSTs. Anytime you make selections and you want to clear, you just hit clear and it updates that. Same thing with sectors. If you just wanted to look at real estate, et cetera, you certainly can do that. Objective. So this is something else I'll touch on very quickly. Something else that we received feedback on, and it really goes into play, especially with the executive summary, but this is relevant within comparative reports within the program summary, where ultimately we always had a general investment objective that corresponded with the stated investment objectives within the offering documents. We received feedback that ultimately said, look, that's great. It's great that you can qualify this long one paragraph information and say that it's growth, or then there's another paragraph that says it's capital preservation. Then there's another paragraph within the documents that says it's income. And that's all great, but if I looked at that on the surface, then I would assume that this particular investment program was every investment objective out there. What we really, from an advisor perspective, what we're really looking for is maybe a higher level categorization. So if I'm looking for an income program, if the primary objective of that offering is income, just label it as such. So that's what we did. We implemented this general objective, return objective, and you'll see that that's already out there today. They are all updated. Our team of analysts work with the sponsor when they're entering that program in the platform to make sure that we do have the best label, best return objective categorization. And that's what this does here. So, I mean, if you're looking for an income program, you can select income, and that's what it's going to be. And same thing with the other one. So enough about that, but that is new. So I did want to touch on that a little bit more. The last thing that I would say, or two last points on this. One is the fact that as you could imagine, you could scroll through this list and click on any single one of these that you would like, and it's going to open up what I'm going to show you in just a second. But for the sake of me showing kind of this Google-like search bar that we don't have elsewhere on the platform yet, I'm actually going to use that to navigate. So I'm going to pick on Griffin for no particular purpose, but I'll just type in Griffin, whether you do it in capitals or not. It's going to show you these programs that come up are active, live, open programs that you could scroll through the list down there and get to. But this just shows you very quickly, and you don't have to type Griffin all the way, and it's still going to pull it up. You could, likewise, you could type the or anything else, and regardless of where it is in that particular, like INC, regardless of where it is, as long as it's in the name of the particular offering, then it's going to pull it up in that list, which is another great feature. But so going back to Griffin, we'll take a look at a REIT first. So ultimately, you can type it in that Google search, you select that program, or you select it from that drop down. And ultimately what it does is it pulls up what you see here is this, it's entitled Streamlined Review Process right now. But ultimately what this is a pop-up window on top of the dashboard itself. So if you wanted to navigate outside of this window at all, if you wanted to get back to the dashboard to do whatever it is that was important to you, at any point in time, you can come over and click this close button, and it's going to go right back to the dashboard. Remember, this is nothing more than a pop-up window that you would experience on any other website, but it just is embedded in a way that it looks a little bit cleaner. So again, you just click close here, this big button at the top right, it will go back to the dashboard. A couple of things that I want to point out here before we get started. I'll cover the executive summary. So you see there's a bunch of check marks or boxes up here with check marks. This doesn't mean the single biggest takeaway from this this is the streamlined review process to make it easy for you to see all of the information in the platform, but it also doesn't mean that it's required, right? So the check marks, it's easy. You check on, every time you click on one of these reports, it checks off. Obviously, you can tell I've been in here clicking around. That's why these are checked. You can see a couple I haven't looked at yet, and those will check when I look at them. Again, I can't reiterate enough. It doesn't mean that they're required for you. If all you want to do is come in and take the test, you can click right here, education module, and it's going to bring up that test, and I'll do that in just a second. So not required, but this is something that very quickly you can get through. Oh, by the way, everything that you do in here, every click that you make, every one of these documents you look at is going to document on your TER log, the training, education, and research log that you're familiar with. So you have all of that documentation, which is a great thing. These little, for those of you that are on the call that haven't used AI Insight a lot, or maybe you're a new subscriber to the platform, which you appreciate, these little information icons here is going to give you an idea of what is this document? What exactly is this report? What does it mean? What does it do for you? What does it contain? So good heads up information. If you're have used the platform forever, then certainly feel free to ignore that. You can navigate to any of these documents or reports by simply clicking any one of them, or you could, if you'd rather, click the arrow to transition to the next one. You can absolutely do that as well. Before I do that, and the last thing I'll touch on here before I touch on the executive summary is you don't have to go back to the dashboard if you want to look at another program. You want to switch investments and go check out another one. You can click the drop down, you can click on it, and it's going to bring that up. So that's it from a navigation perspective. Let me scroll down a little bit, and I want to talk about the executive summary. So this is the new executive summary that we're talking about. Again, it looks familiar to some of our other documents or reports in the platform, but really it's streamlined. So, again, good high-level information. That return objective that I talked about, you can see that here. Again, one main objective based on feedback that we received. A lot of this are data points that you're familiar with. We just laid it out in a more clear, concise way for ease of usability and access. Another thing I'll point out that we didn't have in the report before, but based on feedback, third-party due diligence reports. This shows, again, DevSite, but the Bowman Law Firm has a report for this particular REIT. If there's 3 reports available, 3 reports will be listed here. Same thing, share class. You can see this has multiple share classes, nice consistent table. And then we scroll through, and then you get down to the portfolio information. A couple of points here. This is very difficult in the build, as you could imagine, but ultimately the investment focus. So if you think about the style drift chart in the program summary, we always have, well, what did they initially state in their documents that they could invest in? And then we have a column on the right that says, what have they actually invested in? We had to get a little bit thoughtful here with some of the labels. So you can see the asterisk means it's a primary focus. And then the plus sign here is a current investment. So if they have a plus sign, then ultimately that means that they have actually invested. The red, again, dev site information. So I'm not confirming that this is the case with this particular program, but that would reflect a potential style drift situation where it would show red as if in the original strategy it did not disclose this particular real asset as something that they could invest in, and we updated saying that they have invested in that, then it will show that it's in red as a potential style drift. Same thing, location, leverage information, and then you get into the sponsor overview. This is the company summary. So all of this up here, program information specific to this particular REIT. You scroll down, and if you were to PDF or print this, it's front and back, or page 1 and page 2. First page is program information, second page is sponsor information. So again, graphical representation of information here at the sponsor level, high-level information, about their historical programs, et cetera, litigation information. Again, it's meant to be high-level. So you have a view more. If you're in there and you want to learn more about this litigation that's disclosed, you can click view more, and it's going to open that company summary, and you can read more about it. And then you have access to the wholesaler map as well as broker-dealer RIA contacts. So that's the executive summary. Again, it's updated, a couple of new data points. A lot of it is really just trying to pack in good quality data points that people are looking for, that are important to them. Now, I'm just going to navigate. I will not go into each descriptions of these different reports. They're all reports you have access to today, depending on your subscription level. But ultimately, this is just navigates to each of them. So again, you click on Program Summary or this arrow here to transition, and there's your program summary. I won't go through the whole thing, but ultimately, that's how you get to the program summary. These links in here still work. If you want to use these to scroll to any of those, you can certainly do that as well. Executive summary, company summary, if you want to print it, if you want to PDF it, all of these icons still work, and you can certainly use them as well. Company summary, again, click there. Company summary comes up. Same situation. We'll go to the fee and expense report. You see that the button, the box is not checked. I have not been there yet. So I'll click the little transition arrow. It'll bring up the fee and expense report. And I want to point out a couple of things on this. So these reports in the platform today, they're interactive. Well, just because you use this streamlined review process doesn't mean that they shouldn't be interactive any longer. So they're still interactive. So within this window, you looking at this, they're still interactive. You can change the graphs. You can update the share class on this, see how they compare to their other programs that are out there. Scroll through, look at the information, look at all this great categorization from a fee structure. You want to learn more about it, you can click down and certainly expand any one of those options to read more. All of that information is still there at your fingertips. It's just we're trying to get it to you in a much easier way. Performance summary, so this for the financial performance reporting subscribers. You can access the full summary here. Again, this is where you get the Q&K data, all of the financial metrics, et cetera, the qualitative notes to the financial statements, which are nice and exciting to really understand what's going on in the particular portfolio. So all of that there in the performance summary. If you want to take a look at the snapshot, which is a more graphical representation of this, you certainly can click there and do so. Industry report. So again, notice it didn't have the check mark, but as soon as I click that industry report, it checks off to show that you've done that, and it also documents on that TER log. Industry report, again, this is the financial performance subscribers. This is where we aggregate all of that wonderful financial performance information from the individual programs and pulls it up into an industry report itself, which is wonderful, great information. We have great write-up information. We have a great team of analysts here that do this background information, are good about pulling in some different data points from different indices, et cetera, just to have good reference points and things like that. As you can imagine, if I was showing a private placement, we have an industry report on the private placement market, so that would come up as well from an industry report perspective. Comparative reports, everybody's familiar with this. This is one of the more utilized features of the platform. This will ultimately pull all similar programs with some default criteria selected, kind of those higher focus areas. But that doesn't mean what we put in there default is what's most important to you. So again, you can go to the icons up here and you can find comparative reports and go through like you're familiar. We wanted you to have that option. But if you're used to this and you like this process, you just want to switch up the criteria a little bit, then click Select Criteria. It's going to bring you back to that section. You can select any of those that you want, and then you can go back through and you can view the results, and it'll update and just really make your lives easier just a little bit. So you get through the comparative report, and now you want to go to the education module, and it doesn't get any easier than that. Right there it is. There's the there you click Start. It's going to pull up the education module, and you're able to get started. So that's it. What I'll do is let me pull up a DST for an example, just to show you, because as you could imagine, one in particular, but as you could imagine, when we talk about the executive summary for something like a public non-traded REIT is likely going to be much different or have different data points that are of importance than, let's say, a 1031 exchange. So just really quickly, I just want to show the executive summary for a 1031 exchange. Again, a lot of similar information. There's that return objective again, third-party due diligence report again. This one happens to show a factor right. Still capital raise information, a lot of similar data points. But then you get down into here into the portfolio information, and as you can imagine, you're a little bit more focused around purchase price, appraised value, loan to value, purchase price leverage, cap rate information, cash on cash returns or forecasted, what's year one, what's the range, what's just a short description of the property. And then again, that's page one. The page two, again, is going to be that company, that sponsor information. Tell me a little bit about what they're about, what have they historically done. You can see here, all of them have been private. They look kind of like a bland chart, I guess, pie chart here, because this particular exchange right happens to have all private offerings. As you could imagine, if they had private and public, like we looked at Griffin, and Griffin, obviously everyone's familiar, has had private and public, so you get nice charts because you have the splits there. But either way, it's the same point. 100% of their raises has come from the private markets, and same thing with full cycle and total number of programs since inception, pending litigation, wholesaler map, broker-dealer REA contacts, et cetera. So again, we're certainly excited about this. I would say I'll kind of close. Just a couple of minutes left. But, I would say a couple of points to make is the fact that one is all of this has been developed based on feedback from our subscriber community. So as I always say, like a broken record, continue to give us that feedback. I would like to say that everything that we create is perfect as soon as we launch it. But we're realistic to know that that's certainly not the case, and sometimes far from it. And we're willing to admit that, but we certainly appreciate and encourage you to come back to it. Get in there. Once this launches, as soon as we have a firm date when it's going to launch, certainly we'll communicate that out. And I certainly encourage you, again, get in there, click around, self-educate. If you're up to it, if not, certainly use our customer care team. Happy to train you and walk through it as many times as you need it. But get in there, click around, see what works for you, see what doesn't. If there, whatever the concerns are, or a wish list, you know what, this is great, I wish it could do this, I wish it could do that, send it to us. Go through our customer care team, go through your account representative, whoever that might be, get us that feedback, and we'll continue to fine tune this, not just the streamlined review process, that kind of quick access information, but also the executive summary. If that executive summary you like, but there's a couple of other data points that maybe you wish were in there, I'll tell you it's going to be difficult to add more, but we can look at it. Maybe there's something in there that you don't use that we could replace with something else. So suffice it to say, give us the feedback, let us run with it, let us fine tune this, work with us. We know that there's going to be certain things, kinks that we're going to work out. I think we've done a great job to date, and we'll continue to improve that. The last thing that I'll remind you about is everything that you're familiar with today, you can still access. We have not taken away anything. You still have all of the icons up here. If you've used that way forever, that's what you're familiar with, that's what you're comfortable with, and that's what you want to do, that's okay, and we want you to continue doing that. The icons are there. The dashboard items are there. Feel free to navigate and do whatever is best for you. We just wanted to have this call and show you the new functionality. We hope that you see value in it. We hope that you appreciate it. And we hope that even more so than any of this is that you all now also see how easy it is to obtain more information than you maybe historically ever have, but still in a very short way, very efficient way. And you can still get to that test and get that test done and move on with your business. But you can also fill that training, education, and research log with all kinds of wonderful proof and documentation of everything that you've done to fulfill those regulation best interest requirements, or the fiduciary requirement in the REA side, to show that ongoing monitoring, that extra step that you've done to earn that extra fee that might be associated with a complex product. So we're really trying to do this for all the right reasons, and we certainly look forward and hope that you embrace it with us. But with that, I will turn it back to Jen, and I wish everybody well in health, and we get to a better place around the globe here shortly with this COVID-19. But again, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Mike. And thank you to our audience for calling in to learn more about our new functionality. As Mike said, if you do have any questions or you would like further training for your group, please call customer care or your account manager. Also, from everyone here at AI Insight, we want you to be safe and healthy. As always, we're here to help you with your AI Insight needs, and anything else at this time that we can help you out with, we're here to help. Thanks so much and have a nice afternoon.